Well, hey everybody, welcome to Creative Central this week. So glad you're joining us. Jason is here with me as always, and we hope you guys are having a fantastic week. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're not going to talk so much about this week, next week, and all that stuff. All that stuff's out on Planning Center. This week we're just going to have a conversation with you, and we're going to talk a little bit of vision. And we're going to talk about where we're heading as a team and lay out some stuff practically for how it affects you and what we can do together as a team to kind of help spread the gospel throughout the world. And a lot of you guys know we've been talking about online campus and a lot of that stuff and kind of dipping our toe, if you will, into that pool to see what is the response. As we've prayed through every step that we've done, as we've followed the leadership of Pastor Mike, as he has said, yeah, take this next step. This is where I feel like God's leading us as a church. We're kind of getting to the point now where we've done all the behind the scenes stuff as far as is this viable? And we've pretty much come to the conclusion that yes, this is the vision that God has for us. This is viable. Pastor Mike's on board with saying this is probably where we're headed as a church, and we're talking more and more behind the scenes about online campus. But as we do that, one of the things that we have noticed, and as we've talked to you guys, there is a little bit of a perspective shift. It's a little bit of a mental shift in, what does this mean and how do we do this? And, we're in Perryton and, what are some of the challenges? And does that mean we're all going to be left behind if, I like coming to church just to come to church and all those things that are coming up. And so we just want to take a few moments, talk about the vision and talk about why we're doing what we're doing so that you guys, we can open up a dialogue and a conversation with you that if you have questions, you can ask us. And we want you guys to buy into this just as much as we have. We're excited about it, and it's not just the technology aspect. We're excited about the ministry aspect because it's just fantastic what we could have the potential to do. But before we jump into any of that, let's talk about the why. Pure and simple, guys, this is just a modern way of doing the Great Commission.
Yep.
We want to reach as many people with the message of Christ as we can. We want to do it where they have access to it, and a lot of people nowadays live on their smartphones and the internet, and this is how we can effectively communicate. And Jason shared with me a statistic before we started filming, so share that with them.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
Joyce Myers was speaking at Life Church this week, and if you watched it online, you probably already heard this, but she shared a statistic with them as she got up to preach or to share the message, that just commending them on what they're doing through their online ministry. And she said, you guys don't realize it, but in this 30-minute segment across all your campuses and all your online campus, you have the potential to reach more people in 30 minutes than what Jesus reached in his entire ministry. And I think that's a phenomenal statistic. And when you start sitting back and thinking about it, I mean, Tim shared a couple weeks ago how many people have internet access across the world. That's billions and billions of people that have the potential to click onto that live stream at that particular time.
Yeah, and don't think just because, well, we're just a church in Perryton, Texas, or we've never done that before, or hey, listen, God is no respecter of person. The difference that I have found between people who are really successful as they reach out to minister and those that are not is just the fact that those that are successful said yes to God.
Yep.
And they all stepped out in faith. And, none of us here are claiming that we're experts on any of this stuff. We're figuring it out as we go along. But the heart and the passion and the desire that we have to reach people is just so overwhelming that we see a medium that we can affect so many millions and millions and millions. If we got 1% of the people who are actually on just social media, that would be millions and millions of people. That's just fantastic as a reach that we could potentially have. And you guys are a part of that. And we want you to be as excited and as invested in not in us, but in what we're doing here at CWC, because we know for a fact that God has called us to this vision. and it's been affirmed time after
Yeah.
time. And God has just opened doors for us as we have just stepped out in faith and said, okay, God, we want to make sure that what we're doing here is where you're heading and where you're leading us. And God has blessed us, and He's been so faithful in affirming what we have been doing and just kind of blowing our minds. Let me give you a great example. Impact last night for the first time threw up their service on Facebook as a live stream. Within 12 hours, guys, 400 people viewed that service. Impact had a reach, probably the potential that it had last night. There was maybe 40, 50 people in the room.
Yeah.
It reached 5 times that. Is my math right? It reached that. I was never good at math. But it reached that many people, 400 people. Now, did they all stay for everything? I don't know. There's no way to track that. But the potential is that 400 people saw the gospel presented to them last night that may have never walked into these doors. And that's exciting for us. Now, how is this going to look? Well, we're working those details out. We can say for certain that, what we're doing, and we're just going to continue to refine. So what you're seeing already happen, we'll just continue to refine that. Our vision right now is to see teams of individuals who are monitoring chat rooms and Facebook posts and Periscope feeds, and who will interact in a community sense with those people. And so let's say somebody goes online and posts a prayer request, we can pray for them. If somebody accepts Christ, we'll be able to point, and maybe they're across the country, we can point them to say, hey, you know what? We have a next step.
Yep.
We have our growth track. It talks about Jesus. It talks about our church. It talks about finding your gifts and your passions in ministry. And we can start that process of discipling them, even though they may be a world away, a country away, whatever the case may be. And ultimately, what we can do is we can help them grow in Christ and have a healthy foundation and continue to grow in their relationship with Jesus and become a healthy Christian. That's the vision. So we want to see people that can minister to them. We want to see discipleship. We want to see growth from them. And we're really, really excited about where that's going.
Yeah, and we're really just scratching the surface on it, but it's going to take all of us. It really does. Tim and I can't do it. Pastor can't do it. It takes that team of people, not just on Sundays anymore, but all through the week, to be willing to give up an hour or hour and a half of their time to be a part of something.
Yeah.
And it also takes you guys, as we start launching that, as we start talking about that more, sharing that with your friends on Facebook and starting spreading the word farther and farther and farther that, hey, we're doing this, come be a part. Because like our online campus, when you do the chat, it will translate it into like 200 different languages.
Yeah.
So if somebody in Africa chats in their language, you read it in English and vice versa. It's a potential that we have never had the opportunity to experience here that I'm very excited to see where our next step really is.
Yeah, so what we have is where CWC is already a worldwide ministry, where we have Zambia, we have our campus in Denton. We now have the potential to reach more people worldwide than we ever have before. And it's something that you guys are going to be a part of. And that's exciting. In that process, what does that mean for you? That means that we're going to continue to stretch and push you in your spiritual lives. And it's a different mindset. We get that. Oftentimes, especially as the world is changing, and it's constantly changing, but it's really done a huge change in these last 10 years. As this is changing, it's going to cause you to kind of step out of your comfort zone maybe. Maybe it's going to force us to do more discipleship in our own groups and our own teams here so that we start to understand the heart behind the reason why we have to have this piece of technology or sing this song or whatever the case may be. I'm just throwing those out as examples, but whatever it is, we're going to be doing things that are going to help us move the ministry forward.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, and you guys are doing a fantastic job, by the way. I know I push hard for some things. I know that my standard of excellence is way up here, but I just am so proud of you guys and how especially these past few years that I've been here, you guys, every time I set a bar higher, you meet it and exceed it. And so that just excites me to say, great, let's do more.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing it. So I am super proud of you. And again, this whole video is just designed to open up a dialogue and a conversation, but we need to start having the mindset of missionaries in our own building, in our own community, but we need to start looking beyond. Yes, we're going to disciple, we're going to take care of our people that are here. We are not going to change what we do. We're not going to change who we are. We're just going to use a different mediums to communicate out, and that may affect a few things here and there, but the core of who we are will never ever change. So don't get worried about that type stuff, but we want you guys to grow. Again, Pastor Mike says we want to be a great church.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that we're ever going to be a great big church. That doesn't mean that we're going to do all sorts of crazy stuff. But what that does mean is we're going to use what's available to us to grow and be healthy Christians, and we're going to use that to spread love and the gospel of Christ to the whole world. All right? Well, guys, we love you. Thank you for listening to us this week. We know this is a longer video, but we did want to bring this up because we want to start the conversation with you. We want more people to be involved in this because, you know, my thing is never a missionary. I've never considered myself a missionary and somebody who could reach the world. Jason is that guy. I'm not. But for the first time in my life, I'm seeing the potential to reach the world and to be a missionary, and it's exciting for me because it's doing something that takes where we're at right now and can have an impact for everyone. So anything else you want to add?
That's it, guys. I just want to echo Tim as far as saying how much we appreciate you. You guys are doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
And don't ever think that as we push harder that it's because we're upset or frustrated at what's not happening. It's the exact opposite. We're seeing the growth and we're seeing the potential then to, as Tim said, set that bar higher and jump over it. So thank you.
It comes from a place of excitement and enthusiasm. So we love you guys. Again, if you've got any questions, comments, snide remarks, we're open to all of them. But we want to hear from you. We want this to be a conversation. We want this to be a dialogue. We want you guys to get as excited about this as we are. But in that, we want you guys to grow and be the healthiest Christians that you can be and have the greatest spiritual life and find fulfillment in your ministry and what you're doing. All right? We love you guys. Have a fantastic week. We will see you later.